It's time to predict scores for game week 10 of this 2025-2026 Premier League season. And last week, Nathan, there were a lot of shock results, i.e. Sunderland beating Chelsea at Stamford Bridge after Chelsea went 1-0 ahead. And that reflected in our predictions as well, because, Nathan, we had a bit of a disaster, didn't we? We both came away with 4 out of 10 results. You had the 1 perfect score, and I surprisingly came away with 3 perfect scores. How that affect the overall leaderboard now? Well, top of the shop, increasing his lead by 2 points this week, because you were neck and neck last week. Well, the Hugh is there on 94 points. Nathan, you're in second position on 92 points. I've moved up a couple of places now, back onto the top 10 leaderboard, in 9th position on 83.5 points. So it's all to play for again. See if we can do a lot better than we did last week. And it all kicks off on Saturday afternoon, where there are 5 3 PM kickoffs. Hurrah! Hooray! Bit of normality returns to the Premier League, and it all kicks off. It all starts at the Amex.
Yeah, it actually makes a change. We're starting off with a Saturday fixture, Brighton against Leeds, 3 o'clock. Absolutely fantastic to see. I like a lot what both teams are doing at the moment. Leeds getting a good victory against West Ham last time around, even though West Ham are absolute rubbish at the moment, whereas Brighton just still a bit inconsistent. Man United are looking great, and they did get that 4-2 victory against them last time around, so it's hard to tell a little bit. They are in Carabao Cup action, of course, tonight as well, so you got to look out for that. Where do I go with this one? I think it's just Brighton's inconsistency that I am going to back this week. I'm going to go for 2-1 to the Seagulls.
Yeah, we start off with a bit of a difficult fixture. Although Leeds have only beaten Brighton once in their last 15 head-to-head matches. Looking at the recent form, as you say, Nathan, Brighton strong at home, undefeated, where Leeds away from home, they've just picked up that 1 solitary win, which was against Wolves, who are struggling themselves. So I'm going to go for a narrow victory as well. I'm going to go for a 2-1 home win to the Seagulls. Next up, also at 3 o'clock, we've got Burnley coming up against Arsenal. And Burnley, back-to-back victories, doing fairly well for a newly promoted team. And it was the late show with Lyle Foster scoring in the 90th minute to take all 3 points in that very important fixture for Burnley. Arsenal, top of the table, 4 points clear now of nearest rivals Bournemouth. It was another clean sheet. They've only conceded 3 goals all season, and it was a very good 1-0 victory against their London rivals Crystal Palace. And Burnley, incidentally, have only beaten Arsenal once in their last 18 fixtures in the head-to-head. So I'm going to have to go for Arsenal in this one for form, historical purposes as well. And just looking at their team, Arsenal, Gabriel thought he was going to be missing last week, or most people did, but he made the starting lineup. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 away victory to the Gunners at Turf Moor.
Yeah, Arsenal are really taking the phrase defence wins championships by storm, aren't they? If you actually look at it, I mean, 3 goals conceded in 9 is absolutely phenomenal, but looking at their last couple of fixtures, in particular their last 6, the only teams that they're really pummeling the goals against are the ones in dire straits at the moment. The rest are all narrow 1-0s where the opponents had a chance of getting back into it. So I'm going to take that into account a lot here, and I'm actually just going to go for a narrow 1-0 victory. I think Burnley are going to keep them tight. Moving on, next up, we've got Crystal Palace up against Brentford. Brentford, they beat Grimsby at the Carabao Cup, whereas Palace are playing tonight. Brentford have actually won their last 2 on the bounce. The very good victory against West Ham, who were shocking, and the just absolute snowballing 3-4 Liverpool team, where they got that 3-2 victory the last time around. Palace, as well, they've hit a bumpy road as well, haven't they? Lost to Arsenal in quite a tight game. They had the 3-3 against Bournemouth, which was an absolute classic, and then the last-minute loss against Everton. So those are some very, very tricky fixtures here. Where do I go with this one? I think Brentford are going to stumble to their first loss in a while, and Palace are going to bounce back. I just think with some of the games recently, Palace have looked good, and they've just been really difficult fixtures. So yeah, let's go 2-0 to Palace.
Yeah, this is 10th against 11th, isn't it? Crystal Palace winless in the last 3, but they have been tough matches, as you say, Nathan. This finished as a 2-1 away victory to Brentford last season. I think it's going to be a reverse this time around. Mateta, he looks like he's going to score every time he gets in front of goal, but he's not putting away all of his chances. He's getting amongst the goals, but I feel he could be putting Erling Haaland under pressure for that golden boot will come the end of the season. I think Palace will find it difficult against Brentford because Brentford did the double over them as well last year. But I got a sneaky feeling that Palace are going to get 3 points here, and first time in the last 4 matches. I'm going to go for a narrow 2-1 home victory. Next up, also at 3 o'clock, we got Fulham coming up against Wolves, and Fulham, they've been struggling in the Premier League. Currently in 17th position, 4 defeats on the bounce. They were very lucky to come through last night's Carabao Cup tie as well on penalties. A reverse against Newcastle last week, and where I thought they did all right in that one. Wolves currently bottom of the table, no victories this season, just the 2 draws. Okay, against Burnley they pulled it back to 2-2 after being 2-0 down. But pressure in the end counted, didn't it? And they again lost. And I think it's going to be... Actually, I was thinking about this earlier today. Fulham, woeful form. I think they can be get-hats. I don't think they'll lose this one. I think it's going to end up in the stalemate. Let's give Wolves a point. I think they'll learn a little bit after that defeat against Burnley. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, this is the way I'm taking it for me. Yes, Fulham have lost 4 on the bounce in the league, but look at that fixture run. Very, very difficult. And the thing that you got to take into account with Wolves, in patches they looked absolutely shocking against Burnley until they were able to turn it around. Their attack's excellent, but when you're conceding 11 goals in 6 games in the Premier League, that's always spelling for trouble when you're not getting any victories and, 0 wins, isn't it? So for that reason, Fulham are scoring a lot. Wolves will get one back, 3-1. Anyway, moving on, Nottingham Forest up against Manchester United, the last, finally, of the 3 o'clock games. Great to see. Forest is still in the drop zone at the moment, just can't conjure anything in the Premier League, even though it is early days under Sean Dyche. Losing last time around 2-0 to Bournemouth, but that was kind of expected with the way that the Cherries are playing at the moment. Whereas Man United winning on the bounce, looking absolutely excellent moving forward. Just a few more tweaks, and I think that they should really be pushing for that top 6 now. Literally just need to replace Luke Shaw as the left-sided centre-back and also get a midfielder in. Sure, Sheshko scores as well, but yeah, great win over Brighton. Not the right time to play Manchester United for me. Forest, like I said, the same with Bournemouth last week. So, yeah, I'm going to go 2-1 to the Red Devils.
Yeah, surprisingly, Man United scored 8 goals in their last 3 matches. You can say that last season or even at the beginning of this season. Forest, Dyche there hasn't been really a new manager bounce there at Nottingham Forest, but I think they are making it a little bit more difficult under his stewardship. But I can't see them winning this one either because of the former Manchester United. I think they'll get a goal here because Man United give you opportunities. Case in point, last week Brighton scored 2 against Man United at Old Trafford. So I'm going to go for a 3-1 away win to the Red Devils. Next up, we've got the 5:30 match, and for me this is probably the game of the weekend. Spurs coming up against Chelsea. Spurs last week on Monday evening beating Everton 3-0. Phenomenal result. Van de Ven with 2 goals.
Hat-trick.
Yeah, and guess who took him out of his fantasy football team, and then he hauls probably one of the highest scores of the season so far from any player. So yeah, disappointing there personally for myself. Spurs coming up against a Chelsea team, 1-0 up against Sunderland, and then succumbed to pressure, and Sunderland did very well. And Chelsea got to be kicking themselves to lose all 3 points there at home. And that fixture came off back-to-back victories as well. At the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, you'd like to think that Chelsea will bounce back in this one, and they do have an abundance of talent going forward, although Cole Palmer's going to be out for a while, isn't he? But so I think Spurs coming into this match will have a lot of confidence after that away victory last time out, where they look really good for going forward, and their set pieces Chelsea will have to be very wary of. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 home win.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous how inconsistent both of these sides are. Chelsea, just inconsistent as anything. You predict them to win the one week and they get absolutely battered. Tottenham, the absolute same, but last time around they did look special, and there's your pub quiz question for the next couple of years on who got the first victory at the Hill Dickinson as well. So where do I go with this one? On the TV, at the Spurs grounds, I'm going to have to go 1-1 draw. I think they'll cancel each other out. Next up, moving to 8 o'clock on TNT. As Sean Dyche says, that's a woke nonsense. Liverpool against Aston Villa. Liverpool, safe to say they're an absolute free-fall, just absolutely bottling it again against Brentford. Difficult fixtures, but the way they're playing is absolutely shocking, and there's a lot of alarm bells there in there, and I think in a way a bit of an overreaction from the Liverpool fan base. Villa, they're absolutely in the vein of their form of their life, beating Man City in a very good victory and actually getting defensively solid. Now this is where I'm going to be bold here. I think Liverpool have to turn it around somewhere, and I think Villa are just going to dip a little. I just don't know on this one. This could go either way. Liverpool, Anfield 1-0.
Yeah, Villa on the turn now. Liverpool on the decline. 7th against 8th at Anfield. You never write off Liverpool at Anfield. They are playing Crystal Palace in the Carabao Cup this evening, and I've looked at the lineups for it. Palace have gone strong. Liverpool, a lot of changes. Looks like Robinson's possibly playing in centre defence from what I've seen. Weird. Frimpong out, still with a hamstring injury, but looks like they're going to be concentrating on the league. Because Jesus playing up front by the looks of it as well tonight. No Isak or Ekiteke. So their star players will be rested for this one, but Villa absolutely superb. 4 wins on the bounce, as you say. No losses in their last 6. They've only actually lost 2 matches all season and only conceded 8 as well, up into 8th position. So I think they're going to cancel each other out. I'm going to have to go for a 1-1 draw in this one. Moving on to Sunday, and 2 o'clock we've got West Ham against Newcastle at the London Stadium. West Ham absolutely woeful. 7 defeats out of their 9 games. They've just had the 1 victory and 1 draw. A 2-1 reverse against Leeds. Was it last Friday, I think it was? Absolutely terrible from the Hammers at the moment. Newcastle currently in 12th position. A 2-1 home victory against Fulham. Very strong at home. Can they come away with all 3 points here in London? It finished 1-0 to the Magpies last season. I think it's going to be even better this season. Voltemade, will he get more than 1 goal in a match? Possibly. Jacob Murphy's still getting in amongst the goals. I'm going to go for a 3-0 away win to Newcastle.
Yeah, for me this is going to be an absolute beating. Newcastle, they're slowly but surely starting to bring into their own. West Ham, I just don't even know how to describe them after their Leeds performance. So yeah, 4-0 to the Magpies. Moving on, at 4 o'clock, Man City up against Bournemouth. Now, the way I'm going to play with this, I like a lot what Man City are doing, even though there was a big red flag for me when they did play Aston Villa. Bournemouth, they're just absolutely unstoppable at the moment. Favourable run of fixtures, but even in the matches when they're playing the likes of Fulham, Palace, Newcastle, they are being really competitive and they're just absolutely destroying teams. And also they've got that extra bit of rest over Man City, who are actually playing the Jacks tonight. So yeah, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw here.
Yeah, Man City being very, very good at home. Bournemouth, they're second in the table. A reverse last weekend for Manchester City against Aston Villa, but they've struggled at Villa Park in recent seasons. As it stands, Man City scored 17 goals and Erling Haaland has scored 11 of them. He isn't in the squad for this evening's fixture against Swansea, and I think he came off with a knock, didn't he, last week in that defeat of Villa Park. So will he feature at all? I'm sure he'll be back for this fixture. Bournemouth scored in 8 of their last 10 matches at Manchester City. And Man City, incidentally, have never lost against Bournemouth at home in the league either in their entire history. So I'm going to have to go for another victory to Man City. Bournemouth will give them a very good game. I'm going to go for a 2-1 home victory to the Citizens. And the final fixture of this game week takes place on Monday evening. We've got Sunderland coming up against Everton. Everton humble for the first time at home against Spurs on Monday evening. And Sunderland, excellent, as we've already said, coming back to get all 3 points against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge last weekend. Looking at Sunderland, they look a very, very fit team. Young team as well. 75% of their goals scored in the league this season have come after half time, and 45% of their goals have come after the 75th minute. So even if they're down a goal or something, you cannot write the Black Cats off. Everton currently find themselves in 14th position, just the one win in their last 6 fixtures and stuttering a bit. And I think they'll make it difficult for Sunderland, as you expect Everton to tighten up a little bit after conceding 5 goals in their last 2 fixtures. But ultimately, I can see Sunderland winning this one in a tight encounter, probably a late goal. I'm going to go for a 1-0 home victory.
Yeah, Everton for me have been absolutely woeful on the road. I mean, their last couple of fixtures have been pretty tricky, to be fair to them, but in particular away. But ultimately, Sunderland, there's just absolutely no stopping them at the moment. They look absolutely phenomenal, especially moving forward. So yeah, I'll give Everton a goal. Let's give it 2-1.
Brilliant. So thanks for joining us once again. Thank you as well, Nathan. Make sure you leave your predictions over at the Superbru website. All the details are in the description. See if you can get more points than us this weekend. And if it was last week, it wouldn't have been very difficult. But this weekend, Nathan, we are not going to Peterborough. When do you envisage the next vlog to be?
Whenever we're playing at home, or if we go Blackpool next weekend, yes, that's trying to link in the description below.
Possibly. Fantastic. 3 o'clock kickoffs on a Saturday in abundance this weekend. Enjoy all the Premier League action, and we'll see you all in the next video.
Hey, I got something to say. I'm just so sick of hearing everyone complain. I know it's tough and I know there's pain, but hitting bottom is the only way to change. So I'll keep hustling, you keep struggling.